when Africa ruled the world. The rise, glory, and fall of the Mali Empire. Before Europe rose, before America was even imagined, there was an empire in West Africa so rich, so powerful, that its name echoed across deserts, into mosques and marketplaces, across oceans and centuries, then vanished from memory. This is the story of Mali, a kingdom born from rebellion, forged by a lion king, ruled by a man whose wealth defied imagination. Mansa Musa, the richest person in human history. He wasn't just a king. He was a pilgrim who humbled empires, a builder who raised cities from the sand, a visionary who placed books above gold. At its peak, Mali was a beacon of trade, faith, and scholarship, a land where gold flowed like water and knowledge lit every corner. But beneath the brilliance, ambition festered, rivals gathered, and when the foundation cracked, the world turned away. This is not just a tale of gold. It's a story of greatness, silence, and stolen memory. And now, the silence ends. This is Mali. This is what the world forgot. This is when Africa ruled the world. The rise of Mali, from desert sands to golden empire, expanded with dialogue and characters. The sun scorched the red earth as young Sundiata Keita sat beneath a baobab tree, listening intently to the griot, Bala Fasek. The old storyteller's voice was low but powerful, weaving tales of ancestors and destiny. Bala Fasek, Sundiata, the spirits have spoken. Though your legs may falter, your heart is strong. You are the lion who will unite the Mandinka, the one who will bring peace to these fractured lands. Sundiata flexed his hands, determined. His limp had made him an outcast, even among his own people. But those words planted a seed of hope deep in his soul. Across the village, whispers spread. His half-brother, Dankaren Two-Man, watched with suspicion. Jealousy twisted his gaze. Dankaren whispering to an ally. This crippled boy? He dreams too big. If he rises, where will that leave me? The throne is mine by blood. Betrayal was brewing like a desert storm. One night, under a crescent moon, Sundiata's camp was attacked by assassins sent by jealous rivals. But the young prince, forewarned by loyal scouts, escaped into the vast wilderness. His exile was long and harsh. He wandered through hostile deserts and foreign kingdoms, learning the ways of survival, strategy, and diplomacy. Years later, a grown Sundiata returned with a band of loyal warriors and allies from distant lands. At the Battle of Karina, the decisive clash with the Sasso king Samaro Kante, Sundiata's forces clashed in a whirlwind of dust and steel. Sundiata, rallying his troops. For Mali, for our people, today, we reclaim our destiny. With cunning and courage, Sundiata defeated Samaro, whose reign had been cruel and tyrannical. The victory marked the birth of the Mali Empire. Cities like Timbuktu emerged from the sands, bustling with traders, scholars, and artisans. Gold flowed through its markets, attracting merchants from across the Mediterranean and beyond. The empire wasn't just a place of conquest, it was a melting pot of cultures, languages, and faiths. Islam spread alongside traditional beliefs, and Mali became a center for learning and spirituality. But beneath the golden gleam, the empire's foundation was fragile, held together by the will of a few great men and the loyalty of many. Bala Fasek to Sundiata. Remember, young lion, an empire built on gold can shine brightly, but it is wisdom and justice that keep the flame alive. The rise of Mali was only the beginning of a saga that would challenge the world's understanding of power and legacy. Mansa Musa's ascension, the reluctant king or ruthless ruler. The vast halls of Niani's palace hummed with whispers. The mighty Mali Empire had prospered under Sundiata and his successors, but now a new chapter was about to unfold, one that would shake the world. Musa, a distant cousin of the ruling family, stood on the precipice of power, unexpectedly called to wear the golden crown. Unlike the tales of fearless kings, Musa's path to the throne was marked by quiet uncertainty. Some called him a reluctant ruler, a man burdened by duty rather than desire. Others saw in him a calculating mind, a ruler who understood that wealth was not just for splendor, but a weapon to command respect. As Musa sat in the shadowed chamber, advisors gathered around him, their faces a blend of reverence and concealed ambition. Kenku Musa, the vizier, spoke softly. "Your Majesty, the people look to you for guidance. The empire's gold flows through your hands. Use it wisely, for kingdoms rise and fall not by swords alone, but by the power of wealth." Musa's eyes flickered with a mix of humility and fierce resolve. Mansa Musa, the throne was not sought, but it is mine to hold. I will honor our faith and people. Mali must shine not just with gold, but with justice and faith. Yet behind this pious vow lay a mind sharpening its strategy. Musa knew the fragile nature of his empire, rich with resources, but vulnerable to envy and unrest. The court was a labyrinth of intrigue. Loyal generals vied for favor, while rival factions whispered of rebellion. His closest advisor, the cunning Al-Saheli, warned of distant threats. Al-Saheli, Great Mansa, the desert winds carry news of new empires, stirring to the north and east. We must strengthen our hold, or risk being swallowed by time and conquest. Musa's calm exterior masked a storm of ambitions. He set in motion plans to secure Mali's borders, expand trade, and invest in scholarship and architecture. The golden city of Timbuktu would become a jewel of the empire, a testament to his reign. But not all celebrated the new king. Jealous nobles questioned his lineage. Enemies lurked both outside and within. Rumors spread that Musa's piety was a facade to mask a ruthless hunger for power. In the palace corridors, shadows lengthened. Unknown whisper, "Watch the king closely. Power like his breeds either greatness or destruction." Mansa Musa's ascension was not merely a change of leadership. It was the dawn of a reign that would challenge the world's view of Africa and redefine wealth, faith, and power forever. The Golden Pilgrimage, a spectacle that shook the world. The dawn broke over Niani as Mansa Musa prepared for a journey unlike any the world had seen. His pilgrimage to Mecca was not just a sacred rite. It was a calculated display of power and wealth that would echo across continents. Thousands of men, women, and children, soldiers, scholars, servants, and merchants, lined up in perfect order, stretching across the dusty horizon. Camels laden with gold bars, ivory, silk, and precious spices moved slowly, a golden river flowing across the desert. Mansa Musa, draped in robes embroidered with threads of gold and fine silk, sat atop a magnificent camel adorned with jewels. His crown gleamed in the sun, his expression serene yet resolute. One of his closest advisors, a scholar named Abubakar, whispered, "Your Majesty, the world has never seen such wealth. This pilgrimage will make kingdoms kneel before Mali's glory." As they entered Cairo, the city's bustling streets fell into stunned silence. Musa's caravan was unlike anything the people had ever witnessed. Gold coins were distributed freely, buying food and gifts, yet the generosity was not without consequence. Rumors say the sudden flood of gold caused prices to skyrocket, destabilizing the local economy for years. At every stop, Mansa Musa's entourage built mosques, schools, and charitable institutions, weaving a tapestry of faith and diplomacy. His journey was a statement. Mali was not a distant land of mystery, but a global power to be reckoned with. Yet beneath the splendor, Musa's pilgrimage held secrets. Messages carried by envoys, alliances whispered under starlit skies, and subtle warnings to rival empires revealed a ruler who wielded wealth like a weapon, turning faith into strategy. In the holy city of Mecca, Musa's arrival sparked awe and respect. Scholars debated his generosity, while rulers watched cautiously, some admiring, others fearing the implications of a black African king with unmatched riches. A merchant observing Musa's caravan murmured, "This is no mere king, this is a force reshaping the world's balance." The Golden Pilgrimage was more than a journey. It was a powerful narrative crafted by Mansa Musa, one that declared Mali's rightful place on the global stage and set the course for centuries of influence. Jealous eyes and hidden threats, enemies in the shadows. While the golden sun bathed the Mali Empire in light, a darker force stirred beneath the surface, whispers of jealousy, betrayal, and looming danger. Mansa Musa's dazzling display of wealth had awed the world, but it had also painted a target on Mali's back. In the shadowed chambers of rival kingdoms, eyes watched greedily. The Songhai, once vassals, now nursed ambitions of independence. The rising powers beyond the desert, like the expanding Moroccan sultans, sensed Mali's vulnerability. Inside Mali's own courts, tension simmered. Some nobles grew restless, fearing Musa's grand vision threatened their traditional privileges. Murmurs of dissent echoed in palace corridors. A scheming noble whispered to a trusted ally, "The king's gold blinds him. When the trade routes shift, so will his power. We must prepare, for Mali's fall will be our rise." Plots unfurled quietly, spies were sent to infiltrate, alliances forged in secret. Rival factions vied for influence, and in the outskirts, rebellious chiefs tested the empire's resolve. Mansa Musa, ever vigilant, relied on his trusted advisors and loyal generals to guard the empire's fragile peace. He strengthened Mali's defenses, rebuilt cities, and promoted justice to quell unrest. But the cracks were growing. The golden age that Musa had ushered in was also a time of great risk. The empire's wealth made it a beacon, not just for traders and scholars, but for those who craved power and conquest. In this intricate dance of loyalty and betrayal, Mali's fate hung in balance, its enemies hidden but deadly, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The fragile crown, succession, and the seeds of division. Beneath the splendor of the Mali Empire, the question of succession loomed like a dark cloud. Mansa Musa's reign had brought unprecedented wealth and prestige, but it had also exposed the empire's deepest vulnerability: who would inherit the crown. The royal court became a hotbed of tension. Musa's sons and nephews, each with their own ambitions, circled like hawks, waiting for the moment the throne would open. Their rivalries were fueled by whispers and secret pacts. Prince Maga, Musa's eldest son, confronted his younger brother. "Father's shadow is long, but the throne must not fall into weaker hands. Mali needs a ruler strong enough to hold its glory." But even within the royal family, loyalties fractured. Some nobles favored younger princes, seeing opportunity in their youth. Others clung to tradition, insisting on primogeniture. Complicating matters was the empire's vast size and diversity. Different regions had their own local rulers who eyed the central power with suspicion, eager to exploit any sign of weakness. As Mansa Musa aged, his health waned, and the empire's future grew uncertain. Rumors spread of plots to hasten his demise. Poisoned wine, secret assassins, danger lurked behind every smile. A trusted courtier warned, "In the game of crowns, blood is the sharpest blade." This fragile transition would set the stage for unrest as Mali's unity began to fray. The empire that had dazzled the world now faced an internal battle that threatened to unravel its golden fabric. The golden trade routes, lifeblood and liability. The heartbeat of the Mali Empire pulsed along the vast trade routes that stretched like arteries across the Sahara. Caravans laden with gold, salt, ivory, and spices traveled from the bustling markets of Timbuktu and Gao to distant Mediterranean ports, connecting Africa to Europe and the Middle East. Mansa Musa knew these routes were more than mere paths. They were the lifeblood of his empire's wealth and influence. He invested heavily in securing them, fortifying desert oases, building caravanserais, and maintaining alliances with nomadic tribes who controlled the sands. One caravan leader, Sidi, shared his fears during a council. "Your Majesty, the routes grow more dangerous. Bandits increase, and whispers of war among distant tribes threaten our passage. Without safe roads, our wealth will wither." Trade brought not just riches but knowledge and culture. Scholars, poets, and merchants from across the world mingled in Mali's cities, creating vibrant centers of learning and exchange. Yet this golden network was fragile. The empire's prosperity depended entirely on the smooth flow of goods across treacherous terrain. A single disruption, a hostile tribe, shifting political alliances, or natural calamity could sever the empire's lifeline. As European powers began exploring new maritime routes, the centuries-old trans-Saharan trade faced an uncertain future. Mali's reliance on these ancient paths became a liability that no amount of gold could fully shield. In the shadows of prosperity, the empire's fate was quietly slipping away, carried off by winds that no fortress could hold. Cracks in the foundation, civil unrest, and internal struggles. Beneath the gleaming surface of Mali's golden age, fissures began to spread. The vast empire, once united under the powerful reign of Mansa Musa, was now burdened by internal strife and growing discontent. Regional governors, empowered by distance and the empire's size, began to assert more independence. Some acted as kings in their own right, neglecting the central authority. Rebellions flared in distant provinces where local chiefs resented taxes and the demands of the capital. In a dimly lit council chamber, a weary governor complained to his aide. "The people grow restless. The gold no longer flows to us. They see the wealth in Timbuktu, yet we suffer drought and famine." Meanwhile, rival factions at court jostled for power, exploiting the empire's fragility. Old alliances crumbled as ambitious nobles conspired, their plots weaving a tangled web of betrayal. The delicate balance between religion and politics also strained. Some Islamic scholars urged reforms, others warned against foreign influences, fearing the dilution of Mali's identity. Mansa Musa's successors struggled to contain the unrest. Without his unifying charisma, the empire's cohesion frayed. The shining legacy began to dim, as Mali's internal wounds opened wider with each passing year. The fall of an empire. Silence after glory. The Mali Empire, once a golden beacon that lit up the medieval world, began to dim slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, like a dying fire that still gives off a final flicker of light. There was no single cataclysm, no climactic collapse. Instead, Mali unraveled from within, thread by thread. It began with the trade routes, those sacred arteries that had carried gold, salt, ideas, and culture across the Sahara for centuries. As European explorers circled Africa's coasts, maritime trade took precedence over desert caravans. Ports like Elmina and Lisbon replaced Timbuktu and Gao. Mali's once strategic position became a forgotten detour. Then came the rise of the Songhai Empire. Once Mali's tributary, Songhai grew bolder with every passing year. Armed with superior organization and aggressive leadership, they began seizing cities, first on the outskirts, then in Mali's very heart. Gao fell. Timbuktu was taken. The Songhai rulers did not just conquer Mali's lands, they claimed its legacy. A captured Malian general reportedly told his captors, "You may own the city, but you will never possess the spirit of the empire." But the spirit, too, was fading. Internally, Mali was decaying. Succession disputes tore the court apart. Regional lords defied the central government, ruling like kings in their own domains. Plague and famine ravaged the land. Entire provinces slipped into rebellion or were lost to neglect. Timbuktu, once the crown jewel of African scholarship, saw its libraries ransacked and its scholars dispersed. Manuscripts that once preserved the wisdom of the ages were burned, stolen, or left to rot in silence. An aging scholar, his eyes clouded with sorrow, spoke to his last students. "Write this down, children, not to mourn what we lost, but to remember that it once existed." Mali was real. Its light was real. By the 1600s, the Mali Empire had all but vanished. No armies marched in its name. No caravans left its borders. It became a ghost, its name preserved only in fragmented oral histories, fading manuscripts, and the sand-covered ruins of cities that once stunned the world. And thus, the empire that had once made the earth tremble with its wealth, its culture, and its faith fell not with a roar, but with a silence history dared not break. legacy, and what was lost, reclaiming Mali's place in history. Though the Mali Empire fell into silence, its echoes never truly died. For centuries, Western historians painted Africa as a continent without history, its kingdoms ignored, its achievements dismissed. Mali, once the beacon of Islamic scholarship and the gold capital of the world, became a footnote. Mansa Musa, the wealthiest man to ever live, was reduced to a curiosity. Timbuktu, once a cradle of learning, became a metaphor for distance and mystery. But the truth was always there, buried in the sands, written in ancient manuscripts, passed down through griots who never stopped singing the songs of kings. In a village near Niani, a griot told children beside a fire. Musa built cities from dust. He gave gold like water and prayed in every land beneath the stars. We are the children of his prayer. Today, archaeologists are uncovering the ruins of cities Mali built. Historians are translating manuscripts once thought lost. And African voices are rising to reclaim what was always theirs, the right to tell their own story. Mali's legacy lies not just in its gold or its palaces, but in its reminder that Africa was once a global force of power, learning, and spiritual depth. It challenges the narrative that greatness belongs only to the West, and it invites the world to remember what it chose to forget. The story of Mali is not just history, it is memory revived. A lost empire rising once more, not with swords or treasure, but with truth. And so we ask, what if Mali had never fallen? What world might we have built?